companions would regard me as a liar, otherwise I would have lied. So Heraclius asked him, he said, this man who regards himself a prophet, does he come from a noble family or a normal family? He said, he comes from a noble family. Ya Abu Sufyan, he said, were any of his forefathers prophet? Did any of his forefathers claim to be prophet? He said, no. He said, did any of his forefathers claim to be kings? He said, no. He said, tell me what kind of people follow him? The noble people or those people who are the untouchables of society? The poor, the rejected. He said, the rejected of society, the untouchables of society follow him. He said, tell me, do their numbers increase or do their numbers decrease? He said, their numbers always increase. He said, tell me, after one of them embraces this religion, do any of them ever turn away from this religion? He said, no, none of them ever turn away from this religion. Tell me, before claiming prophethood, did this man used to lie? He said, he never lied before Islam. He said, tell me, did he ever break his promises to you? Abu Sufyan said, I got an opportunity. So Abu Sufyan said, we have a treaty with him, because this was after Sulh al-Hudaybiyah. We have a treaty with him. We don't know what he's going to do. Abu Sufyan said, this is the only opportunity I had to slip in what I wanted to say. He said, tell me, do you have wars? He said, yes. He said, who wins? He said, sometimes they win, sometimes we win. He said, tell me, what does he order you to do? He says, the order is to worship Allah and not prescribe partners unto him. To be good to others, to respect your elders, to have mercy upon your youngsters. Then Heraclius said, he said to the translator, he said, translate to this man. He said, I ask you, does he come from a noble family? You said, yes. He said, every Nabi comes from a noble family. I asked you, were any of his predecessors claimed to be a king or a prophet? You said, no. I thought to myself, maybe his forefathers wanted to be a prophet or wanted to be a king, and that's why he's claiming to be a king. But you said none of his forefathers claimed to be a king or a prophet. I asked you, what kind of people follow him? You said the untouchables. Every Nabi is followed by the untouchables. The people who are in the lowest strata of society. I asked you, do the numbers increase or decrease? You said they increase. He said, every Nabi, his followers always increase. I asked you, after embracing Islam, do any of them turn away? You said none of them turn away. He said, when the sweetness of Iman enters the heart, a person never turns away. I asked you, did this man lie before prophethood? You said no. If a man didn't lie before prophethood against people, why would he lie against his creator? I asked you, did this man break his promises? You said no, he was Sadiq al-Amin. I asked you, wars, who wins the war? You said sometimes them, sometimes us. I said that is the nature. If the Muslim won every single battle, then every person would have been a Muslim. If the non-Muslim won all battles, then they would have disheartened the Muslim. So sometimes they go there, sometimes the day pass. I asked you, what does he command? You told me that he commands to do this, this, and this. He said, this is the dawah of every Nabi. And then Heraclius said, I swear by Allah, if what you are saying is the truth, the place where I am standing, you're standing in Al-Quds, to the place I am standing, this place he will one day conquer. Abu Sufyan says, even the leader of the Bani Asfar were the yellow people. The leader of the Bani Asfar, which would refer to the Europeans, is that even the leader of the Bani Asfar is impressed by Muhammad, and he says that he will take Jerusalem.
These two cars need to remove, please. KS56 CMS and HK59 TLY. Can you please move these cars as soon as possible, please?
So, Abu Sufyan is impressed by what Heraclius says. The message of Allah passes away, nothing happens. Still in the hands of the Byzantines. Abu Bakr's reign, nothing happens. In the time of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, you have the battle of Yarmouk. In the battle of Yarmouk, what happens is that the Muslims defeat the Byzantines. And then Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah radiallahu anhu writes a letter to Umar ibn Khattab, who was in Medina. He said, what shall we do now? So Umar says, go to Jerusalem. So he sends Amr ibn As to go to Jerusalem and besieges Jerusalem. But they say that the leader of Jerusalem is a man called Al-Tabun. And they say that there was no man who was more clever than Al-Tabun. Nobody could take Al-Quds as long as Al-Tabun was there. So Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu said that we will strike the Artabun of the Romans with the Artabun of the Muslims. Send Amr ibn As radiallahu anhu. Amr ibn As was who? Amr ibn As was the most intelligent of the people of Makkah. The day he embraced Islam was the same day that Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu embraced Islam. And the Prophet ﷺ said, today Makkah has thrown away its liver, meaning the cream of their crop have embraced Islam. So he said, send Amr ibn As. So Amr ibn As radiallahu anhu goes and he lays siege to the city. So he says, he sends his messengers, but every time his messenger come back, he's not happy. He's been outwitted by Artabun. So what he decides to do is that he goes himself. But he pretends to be a messenger. So he has this meeting with Artabun. So Artabun after the meeting says, you know, if I'm not wrong, this man is not a messenger. This man is a leader. They said, how do you know? He said, because I know how messengers speak. I've spoken to thousands of messengers. This man speaks like a leader. And if I am not wrong, this is Amr ibn As himself. So Amr ibn As, so he says, what shall we do? Some say, let's kill him. But it's a custom, you don't kill a messenger. So they said, okay, when he leaves the walls of Al-Aqsa, of Al-Quds, then we will shoot an arrow and we will say, we don't know where the arrow came from, and he died. So Amr ibn As radiallahu anhu now is going out, he reaches the gate of the walls of Al-Quds, and somebody says to him, he says, how you came with khayr, return with khayr. Because somebody knew of the plot. So he said, you came with khayr, return with khayr. And Amr ibn As was very intelligent, he knew something was going on. So he stopped at the gate and he says to the soldiers, he said, you know what? Let me go and speak to Artabun. Maybe I can resolve this issue. So he goes back to Artabun and says to Artabun, he said, Artabun, are you impressed by me? He said, yes, very impressed by your intelligence. He said, tomorrow I will bring another 9 like me. And we will convince you to give up Al-Quds. So Artabun goes back to his men and he says to his men, he said, what shall we do? He said, well, it's better we kill 10 of them rather than 1 of them. Let him bring the other 9. Amr ibn As leaves. After 2 days, he hasn't come back. Artabun sends a letter. He said, where are you? When are you going to come? He said, that was me and I ain't coming back again. You've been done. Artabun manages to escape and he leaves the patriarch of Al-Quds. Now the patriarch, some historians say that they had the signs of Umar ibn Khattab in their books. I prefer to go with the opinion that he knew about Umar ibn Khattab and he knew about the justice of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, and therefore he wanted Umar to come. So they said that we will give the keys of Jerusalem only to Umar ibn Khattab. And then he sends a letter to Umar ibn Khattab and Umar, and he sends a delegation of Muslims and Christians. So they reach Medina. La ilaha illallah. They reach Medina. And he's got this delegation, and the delegation of Christians, and they're looking for Umar ibn Khattab. So they go, they say, where's Umar? They said, oh, he's not here. They said, so the delegation said, where's his palace? He said, Umar doesn't have a palace. They go to the masjid, they don't find him in the masjid. Eventually they find him by a tree. He's got this little mat and he's sitting there. All by himself. You know, this is amazing. I'll tell you why. Because this is the same Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu which came to the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he looked around and there was few water skins. And Umar radiallahu anhu began to cry. And Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Umar, what are you crying for? He said, oh Messenger of Allah, look at the pomp and the glory which the Qaisar and the Kisra, the Roman and the Persian leaders live in. And you are the greatest creation sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And look at the simplicity that you live in. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the narration mentioned the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was lying down. And he sat up. And the mat was so rough that it left an imprint on the side of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the Messenger of Allah said, oh Ibn al-Khattab, oh Ibn al-Khattab, even you, have you not understood that my example is like a person who takes shade under a tree and then he moves on. I take shade under a tree and then you move on. That is life, brothers. This is a shade. This is a shade. That's all it is. It's a very short shade as well, compared to the eternal life of the hereafter. And no time is there better to realize this than in the moment. No time is it better to learn this in the month of Ramadan, when you are perpetually in the worship of Allah. When you're in a state of fast, you are perpetually in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Christians marvel at this man, most powerful man on the face of this earth, and he's sitting on a mat. That's it. So then Umar radiallahu anhu says to him, you go and I will consult my companions. So he consults the Sahaba. Ali radiallahu anhu says you should go. Uthman says you shouldn't go. But Umar was going to go. Umar radiallahu anhu was going to go. I'll tell you why he was going to go. Because he wanted to fulfill the prophecy of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, after my death, the first sign of the hour is my death. And then the second sign he mentioned was the conquest of Masjid al-Aqsa. Umar wanted to fulfill this. He wanted this to happen upon his own hands. Umar was going to go. He knew the words of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, pray 2 rakats in Masjid al-Aqsa. And if you cannot pray 2 rakats in Masjid al-Aqsa, then at least send oil to be burnt in the lantern. Now what does it mean? What do the ulama? Oil to be burnt in the lantern? What does it mean? The ulama say it means help Masjid al-Aqsa. The ulama say that this statement, pray 2 rakats, and if you cannot pray 2 rakats, then send oil to be burnt in the lantern, means help Masjid al-Aqsa. Brothers, we see what's happening on a daily basis. If it's happening in Gaza, if it's happening in West Bank, if it's happening in Jerusalem, it's all related to the same thing. It's related to Masjid al-Aqsa. Those who are being minced in Gaza is related to Masjid al-Aqsa. 22% of the entirety of Palestine was Christian when Israel was formed. 22%. Now there are more Christian Arabs in Sydney than there are in Palestine. You know why? Because the Christians gave no backing to their brothers. And alhamdulillah, to a degree we can say, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the Muslim Ummah has been behind the Palestinian brothers, sisters, to a degree. But still not good enough. 70 years. I ask you, Umar, you come here for the conquest of Jerusalem. I ask you, how many of you have been to Masjid al-Aqsa? Put your hand up. What, 10%, if that? 10%. The Prophet ﷺ said, pray 2 rakats in Masjid al-Aqsa. And if you cannot, then send oil to be burnt in the land. Now, what is it? It's a flight. 4-hour flight. Easy jet, cheap. Oh, no, bro, but you know what? They keep you at the airport 4 hours, 6 hours. You know, I don't want to be humiliated. Yeah, bro, okay. You want your brothers and sisters to be minced for 70 years and make a stand. And you don't want to go to Masjid al-Aqsa because you don't want to stand in the airport for 6-7 hours. Oh, it's dangerous. It ain't dangerous. It's not dangerous at all.